Welcome, dear listener. I am glad you have found your way to Strange Tales of Old China. Tonight, I invite you to leave the noise of the world behind. Find a warm place. Get comfortable. Close your eyes if you wish. Our first story tonight is called The Scholar Kai. In the old city of Hangzhou, just outside the North Gate, there stood a house that no one dared to enter. It was an old house, built in the style of centuries past. Dark wooden beams, gray brick walls, and a roof of curved black tiles that seemed to swallow the moonlight. The courtyard had long been overgrown. Weeds pushed through the cracks in the stone path. The wooden door, once painted red, had faded to a pale, peeling gray. When the wind blew through the gaps, it made a sound like someone sighing. The locals told stories about this house. They said that after midnight, lights could be seen flickering through the windows, though no one lived there. They said strange sounds came from within. Footsteps crossing empty floors. And sometimes, very faintly, the sound of someone weeping. For years, the house sat empty. Neighbors walked past it quickly, eyes averted. Children dared each other to touch the gate, but none ever did. Then came Scholar Kai. Tai was a young man of learning, quiet, confident, and not easily shaken. He had heard the stories, of course. Everyone had. But where others heard warnings, he heard opportunity. The house was being sold for half its normal price. Half price for a perfectly good house, simply because of a few rumors. That is a bargain, he said to himself. His family disagreed. His mother begged him not to buy it. His older brother warned him. His friends told him he was being reckless. Kai listened to them all, nodded politely, and bought the house anyway. On the first evening, as the sun sank behind the western hills and the city of Hangzhou grew quiet, Sai arrived at his new home with nothing but a bundle of books, a candle, and a small oil lamp. The gate groaned as he pushed it open. The sound echoed through the empty courtyard. A long, low creak, like the house itself, was greeting him. He walked across the courtyard, his footsteps crunching on the gravel. Crickets chirped from the tall grass. A cool breeze brushed past his face, carrying the smell of damp earth and old wood. Above him, the sky was fading from deep blue to black, and the first stars were beginning to appear. He unlocked the front door. The lock was stiff. It had not been turned in years. When it finally gave way, the sound was sharp and loud in the silence. Inside, the house was dark and still. Moonlight filtered through dusty windows, casting pale rectangles on the floor. The air smelled old, not unpleasant, just untouched. Like a room that had been holding its breath for a very long time. Kai lit his candle. The flame flickered, then steadied, casting a warm orange glow around the room. Shadows danced on the walls. Gentle, lazy movements like water. He looked around. The room was simple. Wooden floors, whitewashed walls, a few old pieces of furniture covered in dust cloths. Nothing frightening, nothing unusual, just an old house that needed someone to live in it. He pulled the dust cloth off a table, set down his candle, and arranged his books. Then he sat down, opened a volume of poetry, and began to read. The hours passed. Outside, the wind picked up. Dry leaves skittered across the courtyard. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked once, then fell silent. Inside, the candle burned lower. The shadows grew longer. The house settled around him. The wood expanding, the beams creaking, the normal sounds of any old building at night. Kai turned a page and kept reading. He was halfway through a poem about the moon when he felt it. A shift in the air, a change in temperature. The room seemed to grow slightly colder, like a door had opened somewhere, letting in the night chill. He looked up from his book. At first, there was nothing. Just the flickering candle, the shadows, the silence. Then he saw her. She was standing in the doorway. A woman, in a long white dress, her face pale and smooth like porcelain. She looked young, almost beautiful. Her black hair was neatly combed, and around her neck, a red scarf hung loosely. She was not walking, she was floating, drifting toward him without a sound, her feet not touching the floor. An ordinary man would have screamed. An ordinary man would have run. Some men might have fainted. Scholar C looked at her, considered for a moment, and smiled. "You have good manners," he said quietly. "You greet before you enter. That is proper." And he returned to his book. The ghost stopped. For a moment she did nothing. Perhaps she was confused. Perhaps no one had ever reacted this way before. Then her face changed. The pale, beautiful features twisted. Her hair came loose and flew around her head like a storm. Blood began to seep from her eyes, her nose, her mouth, thin red streams running down her chin, dripping onto her white dress. She opened her mouth wide, and a sound came out. Not a scream, but a low, rattling groan, like something trapped deep in a well. The candle flickered wildly. The shadows on the walls grew sharp and jagged. A cold wind swept through the room, rustling the pages of Kai's book. Kai looked up again. He studied her face with the calm curiosity of a scholar examining a rare specimen. "It is still just hair," he said, "though a bit messier than before, and that is still just blood. Red paint. Nothing I have not seen." He turned a page. "You will have to do better than that." The ghost let out a howl. She changed again. Her skin turned a deep, sickly green. Her teeth grew long and sharp, fangs that jutted over her lips, dripping with something dark. Her eyes became slits of yellow light. She lunged forward, not floating now, but charging, her face inches from his, her breath cold and foul like air from a tomb. Sai looked her in the eyes, those yellow, inhuman eyes, and smiled again. "Ah," he said, "the face is greener now. That is an improvement, and the teeth are certainly longer. But tell me," he tilted his head slightly, genuinely curious, "is this truly all you can do?" The ghost froze. She stared at him. This impossible man who sat reading poetry in a haunted house, who smiled at her most terrifying forms. She had no more tricks. Her years of terror built up over countless nights, and this man had simply smiled through all of it. She let out one last sound, a long, high-pitched wail, not of anger but of frustration, even of sadness. Then she was gone. The cold air vanished. The candle flame steadied. The room returned to its quiet, ordinary state. Scholar Kai sat for a moment, listening to the silence. The house felt different now, not empty, but peaceful, as if a weight had been lifted. He closed his book. He stood up. He blew out the candle. The room fell into darkness, the gentle, natural darkness of a quiet night. And Scholar Kai lay down, closed his eyes, and slept more soundly than he had in months. From that night on, the ghost never returned. The strange lights in the windows stopped. The weeping sounds were heard no more. Kai lived in that house for many years. "Ghosts are like shadows," he would say. "They only have power when you give it to them. Shine a light on them, just a small one, and they disappear." And so ends our first tale. If you are enjoying these stories, feel free to leave a comment and let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. Now settle back in. Our second story tonight is called The Greedy Merchant and the Jade Statue. In the bustling city of Suzhou, there lived a merchant named Mr. Li. He was wealthy, but his wealth had made him greedy. He owned several shops in the busiest part of the city, yet he was always looking for more. He drove hard bargains. He paid his workers little. He cheated his customers when he could. The people of Suzhou did not like him, but they respected his money. One evening, a stranger came to his door. The stranger was old, dressed in ragged robes, leaning on a wooden staff. His eyes were cloudy, as if he could not see well. He carried a small bundle wrapped in cloth. "I have something to sell," the old man said, "something very precious." He unwrapped the bundle. Inside was a jade statue, no larger than a man's hand. It was carved in the shape of a smiling Buddha, and the jade was the color of fresh cream, smooth and warm to the touch. Even in the dim candlelight, it seemed to glow from within. Mr. Lee's eyes widened. He knew jade. He knew this was worth a fortune. "How much do you want for it?" he asked, trying to hide his excitement. The old man thought for a moment. 100 silver coins, he said. Mr. Lee laughed. 100? That is far too much. I will give you 10. The old man shook his head. This statue is very old. It was made during the Tang Dynasty. It has been in my family for generations. 100 is a fair price. Mr. Lee frowned. He wanted the statue badly, but he did not want to pay. He thought for a moment. I will give you 20, he said. Take it or leave it. The old man looked sad. He wrapped the statue back in the cloth. Very well, he said. I will find another buyer. Wait, said Mr. Lee. 30. That is my final offer. The old man paused. He seemed tired, perhaps too tired to argue further. 30 it is, he said quietly. Mr. Lee paid him quickly, afraid the old man might change his mind. The old man counted the coins, nodded once, and walked away into the night. Mr. Lee locked his door and examined the statue in the candlelight. It was even more beautiful up close. The Buddha's smile seemed almost alive. He could sell this for 1,000 coins, perhaps more. He smiled and went to bed, dreaming of profit. That night he had a strange dream. In the dream, the jade statue came to life. The Buddha's smile faded and its eyes opened. They were not peaceful eyes. They were angry. A voice spoke low and deep, like thunder rolling across distant mountains. You cheated me, the voice said. You knew the statue was worth 100. You paid only 30. You took advantage of an old man who did not know better. Mr. Lee woke with a start, his heart pounding. The room was dark. The candle had burned out. He lay still, listening to the silence. Nothing moved. He told himself it was just a dream. He closed his eyes and went back to sleep. But the next morning, something was wrong. The jade statue, which he had placed on his desk, was no longer smiling. Its face had changed. The gentle expression was gone. Now the statue frowned. Its small jade eyes seemed to stare at him with displeasure. Mr. Lee felt a chill. He tried to ignore it. He went about his day, but he could not stop thinking about the statue. When he returned home that evening, he found that several of his goods had been damaged. A bolt of fine silk was torn. A box of tea leaves had been spilled. A vase had fallen and cracked. He blamed the servants. He shouted at them. But deep down he knew. That night, the dream came again. The statue spoke. Return what you stole. Pay the old man what he deserves. Do it before it is too late. Mr. Lee woke in a cold sweat. In the morning, he tried to find the old man, but no one in Suzhou had seen him. The stranger had vanished like smoke. That evening, more things went wrong. A fire started in his shop kitchen, destroying half his inventory. His best horse went lame. His wife fell ill. Mr. Lee grew desperate. He took the statue and tried to throw it into the river. But the next morning, it was back on his desk. He tried to bury it in the woods. It returned. He tried to smash it with a hammer. The hammer broke, and the statue remained untouched. That night, the voice spoke again. There is only one way to be free. Sell the statue for exactly 100 coins, no more, no less. Give the money to the poor. Then you will be forgiven. Mr. Lee did as he was told. He found a buyer who paid 100 coins. He took every single coin and gave it to the poor families of Suzhou. He kept nothing for himself. The next morning, the statue was gone. It did not return. His wife recovered. His business slowly repaired itself. But Mr. Lee was a changed man. He never cheated anyone again. He paid fair wages. He gave to the poor. He had learned that greed carries its own punishment. And so ends our second tale. Our stories for tonight come to a close. Thank you for listening, dear friend. Until we meet again, may your dreams be peaceful and your sleep be deep. Good night.